was bullied. Just like a shark in sense blood, my fellow students picked up on my difference. I was called short, shrimp, retard, spaz, tiny. I fought back, not with my fists as my brother was notorious for, but with words. Big words, long words, medical words were my sword and shield in battle. By the time I was in grade 7, I was very fluffy. Don't like the word fat. I was fluffy. It didn't matter what I ate or if I ate at all. I seemed to gain weight just thinking about food. That's when we found out my thyroid had stopped working. No wonder I was lethargic and couldn't lose weight. So between thyroid medications and my famous diet of eating a can of vegetable soup split between breakfast and lunch, I went from over 200 pounds to around 120, 130 pounds. I had never been popular, but I had good friends. But it never ceased to amaze me how many people were more interested in being my friend because of my waist size. My sarcastic, street-smart personality hadn't changed, and so they were turned down rather quickly. Grade 8, there wasn't a lot to tell. I hated my teacher because he loved baseball. So we played baseball every afternoon for the last 3 months of school. Have you ever tried to catch a baseball with one of your eyes closed? Not. So, yes, I can tell you I will not be going to the baseball game tomorrow. As overexposure has made me rather hate the sport. Technically, grade 7 and 8 were the most scary years. I was diagnosed with adrenal deficiency, but it took a very strange and dangerous situation for me to be diagnosed. For months, I was waking up to my bed. It was the oddest occurrence, and when I asked, "Did anyone feel that earthquake last night?" I was told I was dreaming and that there wasn't any earthquake. It's not like we lived in an earthquake zone. So I stopped mentioning the almost nightly occurrences. It wasn't until Christmas time when we were at my grandmother's house where I was sleeping on the floor. I used to be able to sleep anywhere, now not so much. And I had a grand mal seizure. I had been having nocturnal epilepsy for months because my overworked pituitary that was trying to keep up with my cortisone needs was failing. That was my very first ambulance ride, and I was admitted for a few days over Christmas. Funny story. When I first started taking oral hydrocortisone, I had been chewing my thyroid meds. So when the nurse gave me Cortef, I chomped down on it and proceeded to, Mandy's cringing already, and proceeded to cry loudly and freak out for over an hour. I tried milk, chocolate milk, bread, ice cream, gum, cheese, anything to get that taste out of my mouth, and I can still taste it. Cortisol really tastes gross. So I learned to swallow pills very quickly after that. We didn't have Solu-Cortef or stress dosing. So when I got sick, I got really sick because we just didn't know. Now, I put it up here, I have a tag that says adrenal insufficiency, and I have a kit that has the vials and the needles, and I keep one in my purse. I haven't had to use them because if I'm that sick, then I live right across from the hospital, which is rather convenient, but it's good to know they're there. But it was a scary time. I remember one time I was on the couch, and I was having grand mal seizures because my fever would spike, so there were febrile seizures. My parents were out of the room, and my brother was screaming and freaking out. He didn't know I could hear him. He was calling for my parents, screaming. This is very odd, but I had an out-of-body experience that day. I was looking down at the scene, feeling completely calm, watching the flurry below with relaxed curiosity. In the coming year or two, I coded several times, but I was able to be brought back. Before stress dosing, by the time I would get to the hospital, I would have very little pressure and no really measurable glucose level because there was no stress dosing. Now I'm not afraid to quadruple my dose if that's what I need. I'm pleased to say that I rarely get as sick as I used to because I stress dose, and when in doubt, I go to the hospital. I always carry a Solu-Port with me, 2 in a kit in my bag, and 1 in my purse, and always have extra hydrocortisone pills with me. I am not afraid to stress dose in any situation where a person's body would naturally produce more stress hormones or corticosteroids. I took extra this morning so I could talk to you. Theme parks, flights, concerts, train rides, dentist appointments, anything where I might get excitable, extreme heat, extreme cold, are just a few examples of when I would take a small amount more. It's much more preferable to have too much than to have too little. Always, always, always make sure anesthesiologists know your child is cortisol dependent